Hi, today we're going to work on writing. If you've had a stroke, brain injury, or brain tumor, and now writing is really tricky, I'm going to help you get started. This video is for writing single words. So if you're already writing words and you want to go to the next level, search YouTube for aphasia with Brie, full sentences after stroke. If writing even single words is still really hard for you, you're in the right place. First, gather between 5 and 10 things from around your house that are important to you. Things that you use every day and you want to be able to communicate about. And what we're going to do is label these objects. I like to use a piece of painter's tape and slap it right on there. And if you need help from a family member or a friend for this part, that's totally fine. As a quick heads up, shorter words tend to be a little bit easier. So if you are really struggling with writing, try to keep your words between 3 and 6 letters long. Another way to do this is to make your own flashcards. You put the picture of the object on the front and then the written word on the other side. To make this really easy, you can just take pictures of stuff around your house and then print the photos out at a convenience store. Then write the name of the thing on the back. This can also work for family members or friends or places. The trick here is that you do need to be able to write the names of these things somehow at the very beginning in order to get this practice. Again, having a friend or a family member help you is totally fine. But if that's not an option, you could also buy a set of flashcards. Make sure that there's the picture on one side and the word on the other side. This is a pretty good set from Amazon, and I'll link to it below. If you buy something like this, I would still recommend going through the cards and picking things that feel important to you. For example, you might care about writing the word pizza, but not necessarily the word rabbit. So get rid of that one. Choose the pictures that match your interests. People often think that copying isn't real practice, but they are wrong. Copying is a great way to get started. So if you are truly just getting started, all I want you to do is look at the letters and copy them down on your page. That is your first step. When you copy a word, you're strengthening your visual word recognition, aka what words look like. You're also learning letter order and spelling rules. For example, in English, spelling follows a lot of patterns. When you copy, you're training your brain to know what looks right. Copying also works on motor memory. So that is either physically forming the letters with your hand or typing and remembering where the keys are on the keyboard. This is all good stuff. And to be honest, even copying can be hard. You'll likely have to practice the same words over and over. And eventually your brain will be like, fine, I give up, I'll learn it. If you put in the time and effort, it should get easier and easier over time. And that's when you make it just a little bit harder. What I'd like you to move up to is looking at that word, like really study it for a second or two, and then cover it up and try to write the word. You're still giving your brain a little sneak peek, but then you're quizzing yourself to see if you can remember it. I want to warn you that at first you might only remember the very beginning of the word, and especially if it's a longer word. You might get out the first couple of letters and then be like, what comes next? It's okay to look. That's totally fine. Look at the word again, copy it down again. This will get easier over time. All right, again, once this set of words gets a little bit easier, I want you to try to just look at the objects and write the words. No sneak peek, just writing from memory. You can still double check yourself after you write the word. Again, keep going until this gets easy. You can look at the object, you can write it down, no problem. Okay, and then what's next? Well, I would probably do this all over again with a new set of 5 to 10 words. Go around your house again, pick more stuff that's important to you, label them, and start the process over. I really like to make people write by hand. I like to add in that motor component, and when you write, it takes a little bit longer and it makes your brain really concentrate on that word and those letters for a little bit more time. Even if someone is usually right-handed, but they have a stroke or a brain injury that impacts their right side, I make them switch that pencil over to the left side and give it a try. Yeah, it probably won't be pretty at first, but the more you practice, the better it gets. If remembering how to write the letters is hard, I like to put an alphabet board in front of people. That way, if they're having trouble forming the letters, they can look and see how to write them. I personally like to do it like this, where all of the vowels are grouped together. That can help when you get better at spelling and trying to form words by yourself. If holding the pencil is hard, I really like these jumbo beginner pencils. They're a little bit thicker than your standard number 2, and they can be a little bit easier to hold. You might also want to get like a pencil gripper or something to keep your fingers in the right spot. Other people really prefer a dry erase board and a marker. That is totally fine too. And again, these markers can be a little bit thicker and a little bit easier to hold. You don't need quite as fine of motor control to hold something that's a little bit thicker. I have some clients who just absolutely do not want to write. And I still have one more trick up my sleeve. You can practice spelling using Bananagrams letter tiles. Bananagrams tiles are the best because they literally just have the letter and no other information. Something like Scrabble tiles where they have the little number on the bottom. I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but now your brain has to do extra work blocking out that number when visual forms are already a little bit hard. Bananagrams are relatively cheap. If you're going to do this often, I would recommend getting a set. You can copy with a delay, and with tiles, something that's cool is you can kind of scoop them up, scramble them in your hands, and then give it another try right afterward. Other people ask me if it's okay to type the words. I would say work on whatever you want to get good at. If you tend to do most of your writing on a laptop or a phone, use your laptop or phone. Figuring out where all of the letters are is totally a motor memory thing, and so if you want to get better at that, you've got to work at it. I will link all of my recommendations below, but really you might just have to do trial and error. Figure out what works best for you. Writing can be a slow process. It often takes a lot of repetition and a lot of practice. But I really like to work on writing because it gives you another way to access a word you might be thinking of. Sometimes it's really hard to get a word to come out of your mouth, but all of a sudden you're like, oh, I think I know how that starts. Even if you just get a couple of letters, that can help whoever you're talking to figure out what you're thinking. And that is what it's all about. If this video is helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you want some writing practice, I post a Writing Wednesday prompt to my social media pages every Wednesday. Even if you're just copying or writing single words, that is awesome. Come join us. And if you want more of my favorite resources and tips and tricks for how to practice at home, I've got a weekly email. You can find that at aphasiawithbree.com/subscribe. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you again soon.